that there's a difference between you having trust issues and there being a hindrance in your ability to trust a man because of what he's showing you. Whether it's his patterns or some other kind of sign or red flag that's just not sitting right. Because every time y'all come to me and y'all say, well, there's this guy, and something just ain't sitting right. I just don't know. I'm just not attracted to him. He's a good guy, but I don't know. I can't do it. Or if you're already in a relationship and you're trying to get to the bottom of something and there's nothing tangible. It's not like he's done this huge betrayal to hurt you and now you blaming yourself. I'm telling you now, the problem is you can't trust him. And if you as a woman cannot trust a man, you cannot love a man. Because for you to love a man, you have to feel safe and secure with that man. In order for you to feel safe and secure with a man, he's got to have your trust. This is why you pull away from a man that's broken your trust. You're no longer safe and secure, so the way to protect yourself is to get away from that, which has made you feel unsafe and insecure. But again, the problem is a lot of y'all are you're bringing your accountable heart. You're trying to be introspective and say, okay, well, maybe it's me. What am I doing wrong? What can I be doing better? And you're trying to be accountable, but you're bypassing the part he may be playing and your inability to connect with him, believe in him, trust in him, therefore feel intimate with him, be intimate with him, and you can't pretend. You see, when you get to a certain point in life, you ain't trying to spare feelings no more. You ain't trying to pretend for nobody. You wear your heart in your sleeve because if they don't deserve it, you just gonna take it back. But you ain't about to be out here stressing and consuming yourself with how to spare people's feelings. So it's important to understand when it is that you have trust issues from the past and you just ain't healed and all these other things. And when the guy that you're dealing with or interested in, or the guy that's interested in you, is simply not trustworthy. Not in the sense where he's a blatant liar, because I think it goes so much deeper than that. Don't think that a man has to break your trust, betray you or something like that in order for him to not be trustworthy. Let me put this link in here. Because this was a sister actually that I did a master class called What Your Ex Thinks After Fumbling You. For those of you who have ever, had an influx of emotion after a bad relationship and you break up and all of these things are happening and, just kind of not being able to make sense of that can really hinder your healing. It can slow you down. It can have you losing peace. It can have you blaming yourself. So I made a master class for those of y'all who missed that. I just put the link down in the comments again. It's also in the caption. What your ex thinks after fumbling you. Anyway, she had a question about, basically, she's walking back what she may have done wrong, what she did that didn't allow her to fully connect with and give to this man what it is that he seemingly was asking her for. And what I got from what she said was a whole lot of micro messaging that this man was never really trustworthy, and therefore she couldn't trust him enough to truly give her heart. One thing that he did, and I'm going to tell y'all the same thing I told her, these are the signs that a man really is difficult to trust. Really not trustworthy, but very difficult to trust. One, if he has no confidence in himself. And I say this one, I want to get this one out the way. We ain't going to stay on it long, but you can't even fully be attracted to a man who's not confident in himself. But a lot of women will blame themselves and say, well, I must be, immature in my thinking. I must be surface level. Or guys will try to gaslight you. You hear dudes on podcasts all the time. These women these days don't want a real one. They want somebody that's... No. Women do not want a man who lacks confidence in himself. If he doesn't speak up for himself. Or if he acts confident, but it's some false bravado. Or whenever she meets him, she realizes not just that he's hurt and he's wounded, but he hasn't dealt with any of these wounds. So deep down, there's so many insecurities that now she's seeing he doesn't have confidence in himself. And that's the part that's repulsive. You're not going to be able to trust a man who does not have confidence in himself. A man who's trying to control you is not confident in himself. A man who constantly down talks himself or, doesn't want to take risk or, projects these type of negative things on other people, or any time that you show any type of respect for another man, he got to down talk that man, is not confident in himself. Any man that needs, I'm all for reassurance in a relationship. I'm all for you guys being transparent, overly communicating. But when a man needs so much reassurance that it's overwhelming for you, he don't have no confidence in himself. So you can't trust that man. And if you cannot trust that man, again, this ain't one of those clear cut, he's betrayed you, smashed your best friend or something like that. But just because it don't fall into that category don't mean that this is a man worthy of your trust. He's not. I know that sounds harsh. I just hold brothers to a higher standard that I know that we're capable of being. So I'm not bashing the men that have this going on, but it's get that together before you expect the woman to feel safe enough to trust you with her heart. That's number one. Number two, If nothing in his life is a result of consistent input and hard work over a span of time, you're not going to be able to trust that man. Y'all let me know if I'm speaking facts or fiction. But, you know, some people like to call a woman a gold digger because she likes an ambitious man, a successful man. I think, first off, that's a primal desire for a man to be able to be resourceful and have money. I just don't think that's bad for a woman to say, you have to meet this certain financial standard in order for me to know that I'm going to be at peace and in good hands in your care, under your leadership. That's just me. But another part to that doesn't get enough attention is that as a woman, you're going to have an easier time trusting a man if you can see in his life he's stayed consistent on something from beginning to end over a certain amount of time. It says to you there's consistency in this man. There's a plan that he can set and focus until it's done, no matter what happens. He clearly had to overcome some type of obstacles. So even if it didn't make him a multimillionaire, if you can see that for the last 10 years, this man has built something meaningful or impactful or something that he had set his sights on, then it gives weight to whenever he tells you anything that he wants to do in the future. That allows you to have more trust in him. But when you see this man is just bounced from thing to thing to thing, and he doing this, like he just running around in circles in his life, nothing is compounded. As a woman, naturally, you may not even be able to connect to why you don't trust this man, or whenever he says something, you're like, you know, are you sure? And you need to see it to believe it and all that kind of stuff. When you get with a man that got 4 or 5 different things in his life that started 20 years ago, it may be fitness. You know what I'm saying? He may wanted to get in shape, and you see this man is in incredible shape. Okay, he stayed consistent, getting in shape, staying in shape, etc. He's been a vegan. I don't know. I'm not a vegan, but I'm just saying he's been a vegan for 15 years, 20 years. Okay, he can be consistent on something. He got a business that he built. He got something that he's built for 10, 15 years, 20 years. It says to you, okay, when this man makes his mind up about something, he gonna see it through. That doesn't automatically equate to him being a great guy, but again, it's about the micro message and what it speaks to the subliminal mind, the subconscious mind, the subliminal message that it sends. And so that's one way that you can trust a man. And if he has nothing in his life, that's why you probably, like a lot of women don't like to date someone to date no young dude, because he likely ain't got nothing he's built up to give you confidence in him. Another way that you know you're not going to be able to trust this man is if he's highly emotional. If a man is highly emotional, then you know whatever he has his mind made up on, it's at the mercy of whatever emotion he's going to feel at any given moment. And therefore, you're not the one, whatever he says is not in control. You know, we always say a man is only as good as his word. Well, a man's word ain't nothing if his emotions are in control. His emotions are going to dictate his life. So if this man is explosive, or if this man wants to love bomb you every time, you're going to know, I can't really rely on that to happen and to be the case. I can't rely on this version of you, no matter what the external circumstances are, because your internal emotions are in the driver's seat. And if he can't take ownership, if he's not self-aware of that, if there's never a time where you know this man is angry, but still controls his tongue. This man is hurt, but he still gets up and he handles whatever business he got to handle. And then he comes back and he processes those emotions at a proper time. If you can't see that man resist his emotions, you're not going to be able to trust him. For those who are just joining in, I'm trying to connect the dots as to why you may not want to be with a man who's good on paper. Why you may not feel safe with the man you're with right now, even though he's never, broken the trust in no major way. Because even without that being the case, he could still not be deserving of your trust. And no matter how you try to force it, you're not going to be able to trust that man and feel safe with him. And now it's going to look like you're the problem when you're not. Another thing that will make it difficult for you to trust a man and feel safe with him is if he has an addictive personality, meaning he has addictions, period. It can be gambling. It can be food. It can be weed. It can be drinks. Any kind of addiction, again, says he's not fully in control. So no, there is no trust in him. It's like trusting a crackhead. I hate to say it like that, hopefully no trigger warning is needed, but it's like trusting a crackhead around your money. No, you're not, because they're not in control. You don't really trust the person in terms of their values, but you do trust the person to succumb to their vices at some point if they have an addictive personality. True or false? Y'all let me know. A man got a drinking addiction. It don't matter if you're a good dude. The moment he get drunk, he's not in control no more. Another way that you know it's going to be difficult to trust this man, and this is kind of clear cut, but if there's no alignment in his words and actions, if he says one thing, does another constantly, that will deteriorate your trust, even if it's not major things. Little small white lies. I'm going to do this, but then all of a sudden, oh, I didn't do it because, I mean, we all got some adjustments we need to make. I know I do, right? We all got things that once we receive new information or, you know, it just didn't seem to be a good idea. Once we really got up to it, we understand that. But if you notice that this man sets his mind on something or says he does and then doesn't follow through on anything, we ain't talking about the super long-term stuff. We just talking about on the day-to-day. Yeah, I'm going to take the trash out. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And it's always a reason why he didn't. Yeah, I'm a good father, but he don't never check up on his kids. He ready to spend money on the new J's instead of his kids' school clothes. His kids ain't his kids can't even get a haircut on time, or, you know, his daughter ain't got enough money to go get her nails done or nothing like that, but he always got the newest this, that, and the other while claiming he's a good father. He love his kids. Like, there's no alignment there. And that kind of thing, even if you don't consciously say to yourself, that's a problem, your intuition is going to read all of this. And it's going to keep you from trusting that man. And you're not going to have peace with him. You're not going to feel safe with him. You're not going to want to be intimate with him. You're not going to even respect him at some point if you stay in that relationship long enough. And the only reason why you're going to stay in a relationship is because on some level you blaming yourself. That's what she was doing. The sister that watched the masterclass, What Your Ex Thinks After Fumbling You, she spent all this time blaming herself, trying to work things out within herself that actually was an external issue. The man was signaling to her he cannot be trusted. And she's sitting there trying to rewrite her whole intuition to force the trust for a man that was untrustworthy. Now, Sal's going to give y'all 5 signs, but there's another one. And that's when your value system and his just don't align. We're talking about alignment between words and actions. Now we're talking about this man has a different definition of what it means to be whatever it is he's talking about. I'm a hard worker. And by his standards, he's a hard worker. But you see that the moment he get off work, with all these goals and dreams that he talk about, he wastes time. Bro, how you talking about you're hard worker and you play video games 6 hours a day? We all need an outlet. I'm not here to villainize video games. If the man got a video game thing he like, cool. But how you saying you trying to save money, stack money, but the moment you get $1,000 to your name, you got to go burn it out at the club? How? And so in your mind, you got an idea of what it means to be financially responsible, of what it means to be a hard worker, of what it means to be mature, of what it means to think positive, whatever it is. And you see that there's just this disparity, there's this gap in you guys' value system. Then you know he may be doing everything according to his best knowledge and his competence and what he's truly convinced of his own narrative. But that's a whole different story than what you're seeing based on your value system. If I'm speaking facts, tell me I'm speaking facts. You know what I'm saying? The man, I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. You like, dude, you ain't spent whatever spirit you talking about. It ain't nothing that you truly dedicated to. You don't spend no time with whoever it is you call God. You don't spend no time in that word. Whatever Bible that you like to read, you don't spend no time on that. You just like to say that because it sounds good. Your value system is different. Oh yeah, you know, I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. Dude, you bet on games. Gambling is not a business. So you guys' value system, I'm open-minded, I'm well-rounded. Dude, you don't like to go, you barely even like to go out of the city, much less like to travel, open up to new cultures, open up to new foods. You don't even like to watch movies that ain't hood classics. I know I'm kind of going in, but again, this is all about you guys understanding what may be hindering your ability to trust that doesn't always come back on you. Because I already heard y'all take accountability. I see y'all saying I may have trust issues. The last man hurt me. Now I can't trust nothing. No, you can't trust the same patterns that you saw in the last relationship happening all over again. You've seen this movie before. You don't have to wait till the end to know how the story ends. That's not a trust issue. I've seen this before and I'm not running into the same thing. Even if you can't consciously connect with it, your intuition is reading the exact same thing happened before. Keep it real with yourself. And here's the thing. Because a lot of y'all, you're going to hear this and be like, man, well, what if he could take hold of this information? What if he could get his act together and start doing the right thing or be a better man? I'm going to tell you something. There are so many situations where a woman like this, in this situation, her intuition is reading that this man is untrustworthy because of this, this, and this. Leave because it's just not working out, even if she blames herself. And the man in this situation, because his ego is really what has been hindering his growth and elevation and evolution into the alpha male version of himself, his ego says, let me do things to convince her she was the problem. I'm gonna put it all out there. Valerie said, yeah, he accuses me for everything. That's what the ego does. For a man who loses a woman that he really was never on her level to begin with, and he wasn't trustworthy because of her value system or because his misalignment or because he ain't have nothing worth trusting or whatever the case may be, he'll try to do things to get you to believe that you were the problem. Whether it's getting a new relationship, whether it's smear campaign, whether it's try to gaslight you, love bomb you, and make you think this is really who he is, but you just never could see it before because you was listening to such and such talk about him, or you was comparing him to Instagram. He'll do all kind of things. I talked about these games that a man will play to spare his ego. I talked about that in the masterclass. What your ex really thinks after fumbling you. And that's a free masterclass, by the way. I just reposted the encore. If you want more on that, I put it all out there. All the games your toxic ex will play to try to mess up your mind, keep you from having the peace that you're supposed to have. Because guess what? The moment that you get your peace back after a toxic relationship is the moment you'll be in position for the man who can love you correctly. And boy, that's a toxic ex worst nightmare. It's for you to truly be in position to receive and to love his upgrade, his replacement. That's a toxic ex's worst nightmare. I talked about that. I went in, man, for about an hour on what your ex thinks after fumbling you. If you want access to that before it comes down, the encore is down here at the link. Yeah, I didn't have this one up for long, and I'm not going to have it up for long here either. It's also in the caption if you don't see the link right here. Register now, because I don't know when you're watching this if it's even going to be up. And you can come back to this. But moral of the story is this. We're wrapping up anyway. Stop blaming yourself for a man's inability to be trusted. Stop racking your brain on whether or not your standards are too high or you're carrying baggage from the last relationship. You're supposed to evolve throughout the years. We always tell y'all as men, you should have chose better. But then as you gain new information and you begin to choose better, we get mad because now we don't fit the bill. Us and our toxicity don't fit the bill. But that doesn't mean you need to start looking at yourself and taking responsibility for how short we fall. You know what I'm saying? Where we at, where we're not at in terms of being equally yoked with you and able to warrant your trust, again, at an internal level, not with our words and promises, but to actually have things that line up that say, hey, it's safe here. If that man cannot rely on his track record, his patterns, his life that he built before you even came along, and what he's done since you've come along. A man should be able to say to you, hey, look, I told you I was going to do this and I did it. I told you I wanted this and I went and I got it. Before you and during you, I've been doing the exact same thing. You ain't got to trust in my words, my verbal. You can trust in my patterns. You ain't got to trust words. Actions can even be misleading, but patterns always going to tell the truth. If that man can't say that, you will not be able to trust him. And if you can't trust him, sis, you cannot love him. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet brother. I'm looking out for y'all best way I know how. Again, this is free. I keep your money. I'm not here for your money. But all I ask you to do is pay it forward if you found anything I said to be true, so we can spread more of this truth amongst all of this misleading information. Hit the share button if you got something of value so you can bless somebody else. If you want access, by the way, if you want access to the masterclass, I saw a couple of y'all asking what your ex really thinks after fumbling you. If you want to be able to decode some of those actions, some of those passive aggressive things that man is doing, he may be trying to smear campaign you. He may be trying to re-love bomb you. Somebody asked what that is. That's basically whenever a man is trying to do these grandiose gestures, trying to do these things that are pulling your heartstrings, these really, really deep, meaningful things all of a sudden to override all of the patterns that said he never cared about you. If you want to be able to decode and see through all of that, I break it down in the free masterclass. What your ex thinks after fumbling you is right here down at the link. It's also in the caption. Get access to that now.